The hyper-violent boomer shooter genre represents a nostalgic resurgence of classic first-person shooters from the 90s, paying homage to games like Doom, Quake, Duke Nukem 3D and Unreal. This genre has seen a remarkable rise and resurgence in recent times, achieving significant success, and had a substantial impact on both the gaming industry and the players who grew up with these iconic titles. First-person shooters are currently one of the most popular genres in the video game industry that provide a heavy mix of brutal action with fast-paced gameplay that appeals to a variety of different players. The evolution of games with Wolfenstein 3D and Doom in the early 90s introduced gamers to a new realm of action horror gaming, subjecting players to brutal acts of violence and visceral imagery rarely seen in a video game at the time. Doom played a huge influential role in the evolution of the first-person shooter genre, spawning many sequels and clones inspired by the combat mechanics and level design from its unique, legendary gameplay style. FPS games would inevitably grow to become more cinematic through each gaming generation, leading to the dominance of the multiplayer tactical shooter with the rise of the Call of Duty franchise that completely altered the way in which games were being developed, leading to many development teams trying to incorporate multiplayer elements into almost all of their games. Even games that were originally single-player experiences had multiplayer features added to capitalize on popular trends to remain relevant to the competition, which totally saturated and diluted the experience for many players looking for a more focused and intensive experience. However, the presence of the original Doom was still prevalent, as the game saw many ports to newer consoles, with dedicated fans developing mods using the original game engine but adding newer updated features, with more violent elements being made more of a focus throughout each experience. With violence becoming more controversial during the early 90s, both Doom and Mortal Kombat were the games that presented some of the most grotesque imagery ever seen in video games of the time, with fans looking for new experiences to the depiction of violence on newer technology. This would help to inspire many popular games in future generations to incorporate these elements into the gameplay. The Doom franchise itself would see many sequels, with a new release on the Nintendo 64 console in the late 90s with new visuals, environments and character enemy sprites to make the experience look more realistic for the time. There wouldn't be another Doom game until 2004 with the release of Doom 3 that would act as a standalone title in the series, but would also be the first game to have a unique story with character interactions. The game would then get a re-release in 2012 under the BFG edition that would include all of the game's original content and expansion packs, along with levels from all three original games in the series with Doom, Doom 2 and Final Doom, to provide the ultimate gaming experience for fans of the series. And while many older games with the likes of Shadow Warrior, Blood, Duke Nukem 3D and Doom mods utilise scenes of graphical violence and older technology, this level of detail presented the formula for more insane levels of violence that would later see its way into Doom's re-envisioning in 2016. 2016's Doom would be a new entry in the franchise, becoming a reimagining of the original game that took many elements from the first title but added more fast-paced action and intense violence to the gameplay, which very few games before it in the modern era had dared to venture into. Blood, Guts and Gore became the main focus of the gameplay, while utilising the game's insane lineup of weaponry to devastate foes was on another level from anything seen before in the previous entries. When we look at the landscape of violent game titles, there are many series that follow in the footsteps of Doom, but many other game franchises would also find a way to create an extreme depiction of violence to match the visceral imagery seen in the iconic first-person shooter series. Some notable series do stand out in this arena of Blood, Guts and Gore, with Dead Space and the Mortal Kombat series following in this style with their own violent nature, allowing players to obliterate enemies through bodily dismemberment and fatalities, which is now a normality in modern games. Insane levels of grotesque violence is at an all-time high in video games. Seriously, it's crazy to think that this level of violence has become commonplace in modern gaming compared to the earlier generations, with scenes of violent imagery that were often considered too taboo to show to mainstream audiences. This would and has become the inevitable standard in FPS games moving forward. With all of these ongoing elements, and with Doom's release, would see the rise of what is now called the hyper-violent boomer shooter, bringing insane acts of violence to a whole new level. The new version of Doom was something else entirely, breathing life into a new variation of the first-person shooter, as the market had become saturated with the domination of Call of Duty games and clones. So something different that combined both new and old was needed, and a welcome addition to reinvigorate the genre. Doom would see another sequel in 2020 with Doom Eternal that would continue the events from the previous game while adding in more levels, story and even more devastating weaponry to decimate foes and put an end to the demon Hellspawn once and for all. But with the popularity of boomer shooters on the rise, we'd also see many indie devs add their ideas into the arena, seeing more popular titles take shape that would take heavy inspiration from the Doom series but also mix old visual styles with modern gameplay and even more blood, guts and gore ever seen before in video games. There is so much blood and violence seen in these games that you literally cannot see the screen much as you play while trying to navigate environments, as the screen is often saturated with layers of blood, alongside the frantic gameplay that everything happens in a blur of fury that you cannot fully comprehend what you are witnessing as you play. Many of these modern FPS inspired games can now be found on the front pages of popular gaming marketplaces with Steam, itch.io, Good Old Games, and even on console marketplaces with the likes of the PlayStation and Xbox, with many of them in early access development, with demos available to try to entice players to get involved in the action. While the new age of the first-person shooter is thriving, none of this would be possible without the early titles that set the foundations for the current game's landscape. It is an interesting piece of history that we should dive into to look at the many ideas and nuances that solidified its presence as one of video gaming's most popular genres. The 90s witnessed the golden age of first-person shooters, marked by groundbreaking titles that revolutionised the gaming industry. Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, released both in 1992 and in 1993, is often credited with popularising this unique genre. Its fast-paced action, iconic weapons, and labyrinthian levels set a standard that many games sought to emulate. These elements provided the blueprint for many new games to be created that would also break new grounds within the genre. And here we are going to look at some of the most important titles that have helped evolve this concept even further. When Alien vs Predator released on the Atari Jaguar in the early 90s, it was heavily inspired by the events seen previously due to the success of Doom, but we tried to capitalise on that success by adding even more elements to the dynamic blueprint, by offering up different play styles where you could play as a lone space marine, navigating dark, dimly lit corridors, searching for information while also defeating many alien xenomorphs and other threats. But it also gave you the option to play as both the Predator and the alien themselves with their own distinctive campaigns, where you would have to hunt down other creatures and even marines themselves. So while it modelled the gameplay style of Doom, it also helped to evolve the genre in many ways, with these different perspectives that added a totally different dynamic to the play style that would help to evolve with the franchise and even the FPS genre moving forward in later generations. Released in 1994, following the success of Wolfenstein 3D, Rise of the Triad would see you explore many dark and surreal locations, fighting against waves of mercenaries and corrupt gangland mobsters, while investigating the events of a deadly cult plotting to destroy a local city. The game became a cult classic over the years, which has seen new updated versions, remasters and sequels in recent times to relive the nostalgia and continue the story. Fans of this classic will know how important this game is in the FPS genre, as along with Wolfenstein 3D and Doom, it also helped to pave the way for many legendary franchises to rise from the unique gameplay style these games represented.
Shoot him!
Hexen Beyond Heretic is a dark fantasy first-person shooter that emerged in 1995, and it is the sequel to the popular Heretic, with both games being built using the iconic Doom engine. The game was developed by Raven Software and published by id Software, and it pushed the boundaries of the genre with its interconnected hub-based levels, multiple character classes and intricate puzzles. The game garnered widespread acclaim for its atmospheric design, challenging gameplay, and a distinct hub structure that set it apart from its peers. Players could choose from 3 different character classes, each with unique abilities, adding more depth and versatility to the gameplay. Its impact was profound, influencing future first-person shooters to contribute to the evolution of the genre. Released originally on PC and later ported to consoles like the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation, Hexen carved a niche for itself in the gaming landscape. Its success paved the way for more expansions and sequels, solidifying its status as a classic, and the game's legacy endures as it continues to be celebrated for its innovation and influence of the development of first-person shooters, which left an indelible mark on the gaming industry. When Alien Trilogy released during the mid-90s on consoles and PC, it quickly became an overwhelming success, as it took a lot of inspiration from previous FPS games seen before it, more predominantly with Doom, but also added in many unique horror elements with dark visuals and dimly lit corridors to explore, all while trying to survive an onslaught against alien xenomorph and other hideous creatures. But where this game truly stands out is that for its time, not only was it considered as one of the best first-person shooters available on any platform, but it was also seen as quite possibly one of the greatest movie tie-ins of a video game ever seen. As even by today's standards, most movie tie-ins with regards to games and movies are never really considered that good, but Alien Trilogy definitely stood out in that regard, and it still holds its own today, with its dominant visual style, great use of graphics, atmosphere, tension, but with an intricate play style that is still just as reflective today as it's ever been. Duke Nukem 3D, released in 1996, offered an entirely different take on the genre, with the plot trying to save the women of the planet from being taken by aliens, combining humour, fast-paced action, and memorable one-liners and over-the-top violence that saw Duke interact or react to explosions, killing enemies or making use of objects or puzzles, adding unique dialogue, allowing players to create a real bond with the character, which was one of the first FPS games to do so. There was so much unique humour, one-liners, and use of profanity in this game that would offer up the game to be seen that would only be made available for a mature audience of gamers at the time. The game would see many sequels on consoles and PCs in later years, with a variety of different gameplay viewpoints and playstyles, from Tomb Raider style clones to 2.5D side-scrolling shooters, and a long-awaited sequel with Duke Nukem Forever in 2011 after many years of troubled development, but would release amid an unforgiving audience and low reviews. This wouldn't be the end for Duke, as the series' most iconic game, with Duke 3D, would get an all-new remaster in 2016 with upscaled visuals, additional levels and campaigns, and new cheesy voiceovers and one-liners, opening the way for fans new and old to experience one of the FPS genre's all-time classics.
Come get some. Come get some.
Originally released in 1996 for the Sega Saturn and PlayStation and later on PC, with the latter using a completely different gameplay approach to the console versions. Exhumed offered a unique blend of first-person shooter action and Egyptian-themed exploration, seeing an alien race known as the Kilmat unearthing the mummified corpse of the Emperor Ramses to steal its energy to use as a means to destroy the world. Depending on the region, the game would either be known as Power Slave or Exhumed. The game utilises exploration and destructive environments, using weapons and powerful abilities to find hidden areas and progress the story. While Exhumed was well received by those who played it, it remained somewhat overshadowed by other titles of the era. However, in 2022, Night Dive Studios, a company known for revitalising classic games, released a new updated version of the game, combining elements from both the PlayStation and Sega Saturn versions, calling it Power Slave Exhumed, bringing this hidden gem back into the spotlight. This remake faithfully retained the original's essence while enhancing it for contemporary gaming platforms. It featured improved graphics, updated controls and modernised gameplay, making it accessible for both long-time fans and a new generation of gamers. This revival of Exhumed is a testament to the enduring appeal of classic titles and the dedication of developers and fans to preserve and reinvigorate gaming history, giving a new lease of life to a game that had been previously buried in the annals of gaming. Following Doom's success, Quake, released in 1996, introduced 3D environments and online multiplayer features, pushing the genre's boundaries even further with future sequels that added story and open world elements, with later entries solely focusing on deathmatch multiplayer aspects due to the popularity of online gaming at the time. Quake played a crucial role in gaming and technology, as it was proof that hardware and software was more powerful than ever, that would lead the charge into the future of how people played and interacted with video games. games. The leap was astounding, with it only being 3 years since the release of Doom that would see technology evolve at a frighteningly fast pace, which would become a huge turning point for the games industry and computer technology in general. Quake would see a vastly overhauled sequel with Quake 2 in 1997 that began in changing the landscape of first-person shooters with more intricate gameplay mechanics by having more freedom to explore more lengthy levels and open world environments, to avoid traps and solve puzzles, while being one of the first games in the genre to add in a story or plot element, seeing soldiers invading an alien planet to stop a relentless threat to Earth's defences. The original Quake games, like Doom before it, would be influential to the future of the first-person shooter genre that would see multiple remasters in recent times, but also would spawn many unique experiences, which we will cover in this video, that really set a standard that was beyond anything else in the games industry at the time. Blood, released in 1997 by Monolith Productions, was developed with the legendary build engine that brought to life many of the FPS genre's most iconic games, seeing players take on the role of Caleb, being resurrected from his grave to wreak havoc on those who killed him. Players will explore dark, dingy and atmospheric environments, solving puzzles, finding secret areas and utilising an insane selection of weapons from pitchforks to dynamite to dispose of and obliterate enemies, with body parts and blood decorating the walls and hallways of each section you venture into. A sequel with Blood 2 The Chosen would up the blood count and chaos while moving into full 3D visuals, while still combining the same charm and unique humour of the original. The game has also seen a recently developed remaster with Blood Fresh Supply on modern systems, developed by Night Dive Studios and built using the powerful Kex engine.
Leftovers.
Originally released in 1997, Shadow Warrior is a first-person shooter featuring a unique character by the name of Lo Wang, a quick-witted ninja battling demons and monsters with an array of very obscure weapons. The game was known for its over-the-top action and humour, similar to that of Duke Nukem 3D. After its initial success, the series lay dormant for many years. However, in 2013, the game would be rebooted with a modern remake. This remake retained the original's humour and fast-paced action, while introducing new, improved, updated graphics and gameplay. The reboot had also allowed for the continuation of the franchise with new sequels, and in 2016, Shadow Warrior 2 took the series even further, expanding the story and incorporating a cooperative multiplayer mode. These elements were well received, leading to the development of Shadow Warrior 3, later released in 2021, which featured even more dynamic combat, and Wang's adventures continued with a mix of old school and modern gameplay elements. The original game also received a remaster with Shadow Warrior Classic Redo that can be found on Steam. The recent remakes and remasters have brought the series to a new audience while retaining its core identity. The Shadow Warrior franchise, with its blend of ninja combat and humour, remains a popular and enduring part of PC gaming and FPS history.
about Mr. Wu.
Unreal would release in 1998, being developed by Epic Games, which showcased stunning graphics, immersive worlds and intricate level design that was a technical marvel at its time that required the use of high-end PC equipment to run the game effectively. Many sequels followed with the Unreal Tournament series that mainly focused on deathmatch arena-style gameplay. Unreal would also be the first ever game developed using the industry standard Unreal Engine that would be used in developing many legendary games such as the Batman Arkham series, which is considered as the greatest action hero game franchise ever in video games. When Half-Life unleashed itself upon the world in 1998, it ended up in many ways changing the whole dynamic of the first-person shooter that managed to take all of the iconic elements from Quake, Doom and games that came before it, but focused on more of a story-driven narrative that would see you take on the role of a scientist after a catastrophic series of events that have caused a rip or tear in reality that now allows aliens to invade Earth. So it is your job to eradicate this threat. But while we look at the story elements of the game, one of the most popular elements of Half-Life is its multiplayer aspects. The game garnered much appraisal and success during its time, seeing many online rooms being filled with players wanting to get in on the latest death matches, and it was a great alternative to the multiplayer aspects of both Doom and Quake, which were also successful in their own right. Many a classroom would be filled with teachers standing at the top talking and trying to teach, while many of us would spend most of our time not even listening but secretly playing deathmatch modes, fragging each other to try and get the highest scores, which would always lead to eventually one of us getting kicked out of the classroom, as someone would always slip up. But that was the fun element of it. That's what these games brought to the table. There were so many fun moments with games like this that just leave a lasting appeal. And truthfully, Half-Life is still as strong today as it's ever been, as it has recently just celebrated its 25th anniversary, where the developers have come back and reworked many elements of the game to bring it up to a modern standard with excellent modern visuals and even tweaks to the overall gameplay with new features to the maps and even multiplayer modes available. So there's more than enough reasons to go back and play this iconic game. A forgotten FPS shooter released in 1999, Requiem's narrative involved players assuming the role of Malachi, an angelic protagonist who battles demonic forces while travelling to many ethereal realms to explore, solve intricate puzzles and use an arsenal of devastating weaponry to defeat enemies. Requiem's resurgence emerges as a tribute and a resurrection of a game that once slipped through the cracks of gaming history. The obscure celestial landscapes were reborn with contemporary game design while preserving the essence of its boomer shooter roots, making it accessible on modern platforms. Requiem, Avenging Angel, became a beacon for nostalgic gamers and rekindled the magic of 90s shooters, proving that classics could be reborn with a fresh perspective. The game, along with many other long forgotten FPS classics, helped to set the stage for the hyper-violent boomer shooter genre by establishing core gameplay elements and fostering a dedicated fanbase. Often hailed as the original FPS RPG game of its time, Strife became a cult classic within the FPS genre, with its immersive narrative and innovative RPG elements, bringing many new ideas and dynamic elements to the evolution of this genre. The game's non-linear structure and player choices were a revelation, with character and weapon leveling systems and upgrades that made it a requirement for further progress within the story. These interesting features would prove to be so popular that they would see their way into many memorable FPS games that we now see in recent times, with games like the Borderlands and Destiny series, among many others. The game would inevitably see a remaster in recent times with Strife Veteran Edition, bringing back the game with additional features and game modes to appeal to modern audiences. As time passed, the gaming landscape has evolved, shifting towards more realistic graphics and immersive experiences. However, a growing sense of nostalgia among both indie developers and players have led to a resurgence of interest in classic first-person shooters. No longer are players being forced to play AAA games from mainstream developers whose only focus is to cash in on creating games of high-end visual quality that have little to no interest in revisiting the visual style of older classics. Players now have the freedom to experience both new and old remakes of classic icons, or dive into new adventures that combine elements of old and new with subtle tweaks to combat and gameplay styles for even more fast-paced action and fun. Titles like Dusk and Ion Fury have emerged in recent times, embracing the aesthetics of gameplay of the 90s classics that contribute to the modern landscape to provide incentives to bring this style of game back into the mainstream. Medieval and Proteus, along with many other games, have continued this trend, pushing the boundaries of what was possible with retro style graphics and level design. The success of these titles indicated a growing appetite for games that harken back to the glory days of first-person shooters. These games pay homage to the genre's roots, providing the fast-paced action, pixel art graphics, and aggressive enemies that fans fondly remember. All you need to do is look at the plethora of game listings on PC and console marketplaces with Steam, Good Old Games, itch.io, the Xbox, PlayStation 5, PS4, to witness a sea of current, new, and upcoming titles that follow this distinctive format, as it is as popular today as ever. Proteus catapults you into the heart of a first-person shooter revival, seamlessly blending cutting-edge rendering techniques with retro aesthetics. Immerse yourself in a meticulously crafted campaign, embracing the nostalgia of classic gameplay with a modern twist. Engage in both co-op and cooperative multiplayer modes, drawing inspiration from timeless classics to discover and play a variety of community-made maps and unleash your level editing creativity with the built-in editor. Be ready to brace for intense, non-stop action against chaotic foes as you paint the walls red with the demented dismemberment system. Proteus represents the long-awaited revival of the boomer shooter, bridging the gap between shooters of the past, present, and possible future. Amid Evil beckons you into an extraordinary FPS journey with a collaboration between the minds behind Dusk and the architects of Return of the Triad. You will embark on an unreal adventure within distinctive episodes, each unveiling a unique realm teeming with diverse adversaries. Unleash the power of ludicrously magical weaponry, fueled by the captured souls of the departed, where you will confront endless hordes of evil monsters and entities, challenged by adaptive AI across varied landscapes, and explore sprawling non-linear levels that are rich in secrets and ancient tales. The game is the true successor to the legendary Heretic and Hexen series that draws you back into the realm of dark, hyper-violent FPS fantasy horror, with insane battles and the use of powerful weapons and magic abilities to torture and obliterate your enemies, which, like in the previous entries, allows you to choose from a selection of different character types, all with their own distinctive traits that will alter the way you play the game. Trenchpunk, a fan-made, fast-paced first-person shooter that is heavily inspired by Wolfenstein 3D, taking on the role of a lone soldier, surviving an enemy onslaught that has destroyed and wiped out your entire team, set during World War II. You explore environments set within the trenches of an ongoing battlefield, with artillery explosions being a constant distraction happening all around you. Yet you must have to deal with an army of enemy soldiers who are trying to hunt you down, where you must use weapons you will find from dead teammates and enemies that you must use to survive. The gameplay is fast-paced and visceral in its graphic nature, depicting the many elements of combat and violent acts you will witness as you play that are reflective of classic FPS titles. The game is currently in active development, but there are no known updates as to an official release. In Ion Fury and its explosive add-on sequel Aftershock follows the hero as you continue on a mission that leaves a trail of carnage through vast, multi-path levels adorned with colossal explosions and concealed secrets. It's a ceaseless barrage of running and gunning, wielding a diverse arsenal of alternate fire modes and weapons, including a tri-barreled revolver and bowling bombs. Ion Fury melds classic FPS charm with modern enhancements, ensuring a nostalgic yet revitalized experience. This series is quite possibly the most ambitious game to ever be created using the classic build engine that is responsible for many of the genre-defining classics, with Duke Nukem 3D, Blood, Shadow Warrior. So this game proves that it is still possible to develop modern masterpieces using older technology.
My, how the tables have turned!
Incision is an old-school inspired FPS action game depicting plenty of blood, guts and gore as you slaughter your way through an onslaught of visceral enemies that populate the many nightmarish environments, derelict cityscapes and surreal alien structures to put an end to the chaos. It is a merciless retro-style FPS game, heavily influenced by the early Quake games with insane, overpowered weapons, all with detailed blocky worlds reflective of those early titles from the 90s. The game is brutal and fast-paced, with lots of bullets and explosions, blowing to pieces anything that stands in your way. Step into the brutal realm of Dusk, where mastery of butchery and bloodshed is your only ticket to surviving. Channeling the spirits of 90s classics like Doom, Quake, Blood and more, Dusk immerses players in meticulously crafted campaign episodes. Navigate a relentless onslaught of mystical cultists, possessed militants and darker forces, delving into the mysteries lurking beneath the Earth's surface. Armed with a diverse arsenal featuring sickles, swords, crossbows, rifles, pistols, dual-wielded shotguns, indispensable grenades and rocket launchers, Dusk delivers unapologetic retro action from start to finish, with a pumping soundtrack that'll heighten the adrenaline-fueled experience. Beyond the main campaign, Dusk boasts an endless survival mode, challenging players to face wave after wave of merciless enemies. For those seeking additional thrills, players can play head-to-head in online battles, where darkness unveils surprising new dimensions of humanity's worst traits. Arm yourself for a relentless journey through the nefarious ranks of a twisted cult, their malevolent minds manipulated by an unseen force. In this homage to old school shooters, expect a symphony of lead as you navigate the chaos, running, sliding, dodging, employing your environment to survive. Chaos unfolds across visceral maps, dripping with blood, grit and the ominous presence of cultists to test your mettle, in the wave-based survival mode included in Chapter 1, providing an extra challenge. Combat in Cultic grants freedom to approach, enabling a dynamic range of strategies from a guns blazing assault to a methodical trap-laying ambush from cover. Weave through enemies, turning them against each other with a diverse mid-century arsenal of firearms and explosives, where well-placed shots swiftly alter the game's dynamics. Master the art of movement and cover usage, strategically deploying your arsenal to carve a path through cult-infested territories. While Cultic pays homage to classic shooters, it leverages the advantages of modern technology, integrating physics, lighting and a fully realised 3D game world, with a meticulously styled blend of gameplay, audio design and art that creates an immersive and unique experience. Cultic contains explicit depictions of graphic violence, including decapitations, severed limbs and explosive bodily dismemberment, adding to an unapologetically visceral edge to the intense gameplay. Rot is a single-player retro FPS style game set in the Soviet Union in the mid-1980s after an unknown disaster that has caused a catastrophic event to occur, bearing witness to dark elements and monsters that appear, with your only aim being to eradicate the threat and survive. The gameplay is presented in a dark, gloomy, low-poly visual style that is reflective of early 3D FPS titles from the 90s. It is a fan-made experience that is hugely inspired by classic FPS games like Quake and Unreal, and you can find a playable version of the game on Steam and other gaming marketplaces. In Coven, you play as a young woman who has been resurrected from the dead after being wrongly accused of witchcraft and burned alive at the stake for her supposed sins. Upon her revival, she enacts revenge on everyone who wronged her, which develops into a carnage-fueled rage of sheer brutality and insane violence to make her foes suffer her wrath as she tears their bodies to pieces. The game is a fast-paced, retro-styled FPS horror experience that is heavily inspired by games like Blood and Time Splitters, with its mix of gameplay and graphic depiction of hyperviolence, forcing you to shed life, limb and blood during each encounter. The game is set in the Gothic era of the 1600s, where you will explore large, forest-filled areas and villages, along with dark caves and castles, to tear apart the many enemies that await, using a variety of weapons from axes to dual pistols, crossbows, shotguns, while being able to cast demonic spells to torture your victims and steal their souls as you decimate their physical bodies, which you will then consume to heal your energy. You will also have the ability to manipulate your environments to slide, dash and freeze time to avoid obstacles and destroy large waves of opponents at a time. Coven is an adrenaline-fueled rollercoaster of rage and hyperviolence that is among some of the most brutal FPS games you will ever play. A fan-made project built using the original Doom game engine, the Shrine series provides players a depiction of classic FPS retro horror in all of its glory, with its unique blocky visual style that focuses on atmosphere and exploration, to delve into nightmarish worlds, to annihilate horrific entities and skinless monstrosities. The levels of the game are set within a retro gothic, Lovecraftian world with dark, eerie visuals, seeing enemies lurk from the shadows, lying in wait for your arrival. Using a variety of weapons, you must destroy these demonic threats and blast them into oblivion. The levels are beautifully crafted in a unique retro style with pixelated visuals that reflect early FPS fantasy horror titles with the likes of Hexen and Doom. Shrine 2 follows on from the events of the first game to explore more dark worlds and environments, to defeat even more hideous monstrosities and demonic creatures, with an even larger selection of devastating weapons at your disposal to blast everything before you into pieces. Also built using the Doom game engine, this series of games demonstrates the sheer versatility and capabilities of this legendary game engine and technology to develop intense experiences that can still hold their own in the modern gaming realm. In Paperhead, the pencil is your weapon of choice as you use it during your adventures, either to destroy enemies or use it as a means to create drawings and other works of sketch art, to make doorways and access portals to find new rooms, areas to explore as you progress through each of the levels of the game, finding your way through a secret research facility. The levels are designed using nothing more than cardboard, paper and pencil drawings. The pencil can be used to draw items, either to be used as weapons or contraptions to aid in completing puzzles, which add a whole different dynamic and unique perspective to the first-person shooter, as you have full control of the manipulation of items and objects for survival or progression. Don't let the visuals or graphics fool you, as the game is also very brutal with its violent gameplay depictions that also present many horror elements with its dark and dimly lit environments where you must be aware of your surroundings at all times. The gameplay is fast-paced and brutal, which suits the mature audiences that it is aiming for. Whoever thought cardboard cutouts could be so horrifying? Blow Up is a colourful, low-poly, retro first-person style shooter where you play as a robot set out to destroy hordes of alien creatures that have invaded Earth. Using a variety of weapons, you must use whatever means necessary to obliterate your enemies. The gameplay utilises frantic, fast-paced FPS elements to fight and destroy opponents, using a variety of different combat and execution styles to acquire bonus points to achieve high scores at the end of each level. The visuals are reflective of early 3D FPS classics from the PC and PlayStation 1 eras, with their unique mix of styles that will appeal to fans of retro FPS games, while getting the chance to witness new experiences in the modern landscape of the first-person shooter. Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation is a retro-style FPS game where you take on the role of a sailor who has a shotgun for an arm that will be used along with a variety of other explosive weapons to obliterate enemies, all while exploring dark yet colourful environments and worlds that reflect those seen in classic FPS titles with Doom and Duke Nukem 3D. The colourful visuals also add a hand-drawn cartoon element, providing a fun style of humour to the gameplay. The game will take you through many action-packed levels with plenty of opportunities to enact brutal acts of violence with the weapon you have at your disposal, either through a shotgun blast to the face or exploding enemies to pieces using dynamite. Your goal is to fight against ruthless mercenaries to steal their treasure after your ship has been stolen, with the goal to kill everyone involved in an all-out go-fest. Hellrun is an old-school FPS shooter, heavily inspired by the classic Doom series, seeing you navigate through various levels, engaging in combat encounters against many demonic entities and creatures, as you explore the many dark, decrepit environments within. The game was originally created as a Game Jam event prototype and built using the Godot game engine. The plot revolves around a private detective as he finds himself at the centre of an intriguing case, with all the evidence leading towards a mysterious temple. As you explore, you will cross paths with many undead monsters, which you will need to eliminate to get closer to the truth to solve the case. You will gain access to many weapons, from pistols to shotguns, to aid in combat as you dive further into this dark fan-made experience. Inspired by old-school retro FPS classics, Doomed sees you waking up from a cryogenic sleep, finding yourself inside a strange facility that has been used to conduct unusual experiments that have gone wrong, resulting in an outbreak of mutating monsters and organic matter to spread across the dark hallways, rooms, and areas of the environment. The game makes use of classic low-poly visuals to add atmosphere to the dark and disturbing environments you will explore that pay homage to classic FPS games from earlier generations. Eternal Blood is a fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled gothic FPS experience, seeing you face legions of demons to harvest their souls and become the god of destruction. As you explore the large dark world, you will be armed with dark magical powers, and your goal is to decimate your enemies to increase your power and become the ultimate ruler of the underworld. A retro Metroidvania FPS game set in a prison on the moon overrun by a cult of former prisoners, forming a militant religious group that worships an entity known only as the Umbral, who are trying to resurrect a demonic god from the otherworld. You are sent in to investigate the event, and now you are trapped, with the only way out to being eliminate the many crazy inhabitants, destroy the demonic leader, and escape. Large interconnected worlds stand in your way for survival, where you will need to use the many devastating weapons you find on your journey to survive, that are all beautifully crafted in low-poly visuals that reflect early FPS games like Quake and Unreal. The game is still currently in active development, with multiple chapters being planned to prolong this unique story. Exodus: Trapped in Time is a classic early inspired 3D FPS title built using a custom game engine with modern controls for fast, frantic, ultra-violent gameplay. The game utilises slow motion gameplay physics to freeze time so you can get up close and personal with all of the blood, guts and gore you will witness during each encounter, seeing bodies explode into pieces with each well-placed shot from the insanely overpowered weapons you will gain access to. All of these elements are used to play the game in a very similar visual style to early 3D shooters like Wolfenstein 3D, with blocky, pixelated backgrounds, with enemy characters being placed as 2D sprites to give a sense of nostalgia to the gameplay. Exodus: Trapped in Time presents a unique experience that mixes old with new and is sure to appeal to fans of classic FPS games. And with the unique aesthetic of the visuals and gameplay, you will witness quite possibly one of the most brutally violent games ever in the FPS genre. Phantom Fury sees you playing as Shelly, waking up from a coma with a new bionic arm, being forced into a world of chaos and corruption, tasked with securing a rare artifact that takes you across many locations throughout the US to explore abandoned facilities and huge corporate buildings, while fending off against a force of heavily armed mercenaries and monsters that will stop at nothing to take you out. You will have many powerful weapons at your disposal, which you will need to fend off your attackers, within fast-paced gameplay settings that will test your skill and nerve if you are to survive. Chasm: The Rift prepares you to face terror all over again in this groundbreaking, old-school, classic FPS inspired title that is heavily influenced by games like Quake, Unreal, Sin, to name but a few, where you are forced to battle in a horrific hellhole of multi-level interconnected missions, populated by gruesome, grotesque creatures and mutated monsters that are tearing the world apart, and it is your job to put an end to the chaos. You will gain access to many flesh-ripping weapons, from blade guns to missile launchers and shotguns, to tear monsters to shreds as you traverse through the many dark hallways and eerie environments, all crafted in a low-poly visual style seen in early FPS classics of the late 90s. If you are a fan of nostalgia and want to relive a new experience but from a classic style perspective, then Chasm: The Rift will provide all of those elements and then some. Sentry is a modern futuristic, low-poly style FPS shooter, placing you in the situation, forcing you to defend your spaceship against a relentless alien threat. You will need to use weapons, traps and environmental hazards to aid in your survival against this onslaught of enemies. The game also provides different modes, allowing you to play solo or with a teammate in co-op battles to complete the campaign, adding more variety to the gameplay. The game presents a very graphic depiction of intense violence through the many battles and explosions you will encounter as you play. The game is currently still under development, but you can gain access to a playable demo, which you can find on Steam. Impaler is a classic roguelike, arena-based shooter that sees you battling hordes of demons and undead creatures, all playing within fast-paced environments where you must use a multitude of devastating weaponry, magic abilities and spells to obliterate your enemies. The visuals use a similar graphical style to earlier classic FPS titles like Doom and Hexen, with great use of effects seeing blood and body parts staining the floors and walls of the environments throughout each battle. Upgrade your weapons and abilities to cause even more damage and chaos along your journey that is sure to appeal to fans of classic FPS games. Postal Brain Damaged is a full-on action-orientated spin-off to the legendary Postal series as you witness events of the Postal Dude's messed up mind, taking you through a twisted wonderland as he confronts the many demons that lurk within. The game utilises modern visuals but with hints of retro aesthetics as you play through levels with insane levels of action and chaos, with combat mechanics reflective of modern Doom games to increase the overall intensity and insanity of the gameplay, with lots of crude humour and profanity thrown in for fun. Fans of retro but modern FPS boomer shooters will love this game. Snap the Sentinel is a colourful, groovy, retro-style FPS shooter with low-poly visuals and a nostalgic retro MIDI soundtrack reflective of classic 16-bit era games from the Sega Mega Drive and Super Nintendo days, which provides a very unusual yet unique approach to the modern FPS shooter. Mix up-close quarters, melee combat and over-the-top gunplay to defeat enemies in fast-paced and frantic levels as you explore many hidden secrets and items waiting to be discovered. The game presents a very unique, colourful and visual style that is reflective of earlier 16-bit consoles, and with the addition of the musical score really brings you back to quite possibly one of the greatest eras of gaming, with many unique areas to explore, with many different types of enemies to encounter, where you will have to change up your whole different style of gameplay with the use of different weapons and upgrades that you will need to defeat a variety of different opponents of gaming landscape. The game is a true throwback to a classic era of FPS games that adds many quirky elements to bring something new into the modern gaming landscape. Currently in active development and set for a release sometime in 2024 by Atmos Games, Twisted Tower sees you take on the challenge of insanity as you aim to win a competition from a TV series, from a famous TV show, to climb to the top of a large towering building, facing many hideous and strange entities in battle, all within dynamic levels that change every time you play, that will completely change your whole perception of how you play the game. The game is set in an alternate 1920s reality, taking much inspiration from the iconic BioShock series and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie, facing off against creepy enemy characters based on kids' TV shows, while avoiding many traps, obstacles and locked areas to progress to the top of the tower. But who said your journey to the top would be easy? You would be a fool to think otherwise. Journey into the depths of hell from the creators of Duke Nukem 3D and Max Payne that is built upon the legendary Quake 1 engine to present an insanity-driven, hardcore FPS shooter experience. Wrath, Aeon of Fury embraces the DNA of classic games of the 90s, with its hyper-violent gameplay seeing you explore many dark levels and environments to defeat hideous, demonic entities of a dying world. You must acquire weapons and powerful artifacts to help defeat the many enemies you will encounter on your journey. The game presents many captivating and diverse locations, with enemies lurking from the shadows to explore and learn the story of a dark lore to aid in your quest to end this madness. Wrath, Aeon of Fury presents a nostalgic experience that is reflective of classic FPS icons of the 90s to present something new to fans in the modern era. In Beyond Sunset, you emerge from cryostasis to grapple with fragmented memories shrouded in the disorientating haze of hypersleep. Swiftly, powerful abilities manifest, lightning fast reflexes, innate combat prowess, and near supernatural agility that allows you to extend your extraordinary talents to draw the attention of a mysterious woman that extends an intriguing proposition. To reclaim your lost memories, you must wield your newfound powers within Sunset City, a crime-infested, plague-ridden urban sprawl. Inspired by FPS classics like Doom, Duke Nukem 3D and Blood, this adventure incorporates RPG elements while you interact with NPCs and explore intriguingly large environments, upgrading your abilities along the way. The game presents many throwbacks of new yet old, with modern gameplay aesthetics, with retro-style visuals that will appeal to a variety of mix of classic and old players alike. Supplice emerges as a stylish homage to the golden era of 90s FPS glory and the iconic Doom modding community, built using the original game engine, blending the nostalgic charm of retro shooters with vibrant graphics and exhilarating gameplay. It crafts an experience that's both familiar and refreshingly exciting. This 90s stylized shooter delivers breakneck action with colossal weaponry against even more colossal foes, enveloped in meticulously crafted pixel art that defines a new standard within the genre. Imagine the original Doom having a stylish sibling, that would be Supplice. Journey to the far reaches of the universe in Supplice's narrative, where humanity, having outgrown its birthplace, faces the unintended consequence of unleashing biomechanical horrors with terraforming new worlds. As a member of a terraforming team, the task of saving the world now adorns your resume. Each encounter with mecha mutant fiends promises swift and brutal confrontations, with an array of engineering tools and weapons at your disposal. From flamethrowers to conventional firearms and experimental weaponry, the arsenal is as diverse as it is devastating. Supplice, a retro-style FPS shooter that unfolds within a sci-fi horror realm, featuring scenes of gore and gun violence, all presented through beautifully crafted, pixelated sprites and environments that capture the essence of its nostalgic roots. Supplice is proof that the original Doom engine is fully capable of producing groundbreaking and visually stunning experiences in the modern era, with its versatility making it accessible to any creator looking to create their own FPS masterpiece. Embark on a shadowy and visceral fusion of classic and contemporary action gaming, drawing inspiration from the iconic first-person shooters of the 90s, infused with the allure of modern looter shooters and roguelites. Immerse yourself in intense and addictive gameplay with expansive, open-ended levels, teeming with surprises, where torrents of blood and treasure await at every turn. Engaging character progression as you utilise acquired riches to unlock a myriad of upgrades and new abilities through captivating minigames, and experience an extravagant array of unique weapons, while unveiling a non-intrusive yet enigmatic narrative, offering a blend of manual and random level generation as you dive into your nightmares to confront the dark horrors that lie within, which can also affect the living world around you. Each level will change every time you play, providing a different dynamic and an unpredictable experience. Discover a multitude of game modes brimming with random events and well-guarded secrets, enhancing the depth of this dark and violent odyssey. In Wizardom, you are awakened by the shattering of an ancient seal of Terra Bruma. The malevolent forces of chaos surge forth, plunging the realm into peril. As one of the dwindling mages within the sacred confines of Wizardom Sanctuary, your quest unfolds on a journey to trace the corruption's origin and toward chaos's approach. The game will give access to a diverse arsenal of magical weapons and abilities, where you will hunt for hidden treasures, tackle puzzles and evade cunning traps that will allow you to explore and traverse many of the game's unique locations set within villages and caves and different areas, all with their own unique visual aesthetics that will allow you to unearth bonus items, that will allow you to confront many challenges in an immersive game environment that will definitely appeal to fans of classic fantasy horror style FPS games likes of Hexen and Heretic. Unnamed Hero in the Underworld is a fan-made, early 3D inspired first-person shooter that is influenced by games likes of Hexen, Heretic and the Doom series of the early 90s, seeing you take on the role of Hades, the god of death, as you battle undead monsters that are rising from their graves. The level design and gameplay reflect elements seen in games like Hexen and Wolfenstein 3D, exploring narrow corridors and large rooms filled with grotesque zombies and other creatures that are out for blood. This game presents a unique throwback to the golden era of the first-person shooter that is sure to appeal to fans of these older classics. Embark on a mystifying quest as a formidable warlock, plunging into a perilous mission to obliterate all evil. Immerse yourself in the heart-pounding thrill reminiscent of the golden era of fast-paced first-person shooters, beckoning you into hours of exhilarating carnage. Traverse through time and space, with your trigger finger ready to wreak havoc across many expansive levels spanning diverse settings, from the frozen Antarctic to the ancient sands of Egypt, medieval castles and haunting graveyards. Uncover keys, secret caches and hidden buttons, navigating lifts to unlock new realms, culminating in a descent to hell for the ultimate showdown against relentless adversaries and colossal mega-bosses. Confront a myriad of enemies, from airborne demons to towering robots, painting walls and floors with their blood and debris. Evade bullets, strategize against diverse foes and learn their lethal moves to survive. Amass an arsenal of weapons, from razor-sharp blades to colossal guns, each harbouring secret techniques for maximum destruction. Customize your hero's evolution by allocating upgrade points and perks to favoured skill points between levels, crafting a unique character with developed skills, spells and weapons. Immerse yourself in a dynamic journey, mastering the craft of carnage in higher difficulty modes. Embark on the spellbinding continuation of the saga with Project Warlock 2, seamlessly picking up after the first game's tumultuous events, wielding distinctive arsenal of skills, perks and weapons and spells, driven by personal motivations to confront a never-ending threat. You will delve into even more evolved worlds, vertically layered, three-dimensional structures, platforms and buildings that elevate gameplay dynamics across various chapters, each comprising of many intricate levels, promising a richer gameplay experience. The Project Warlock series merges old and new, retaining many elements of fast-paced action and carnage that will provide an immersive and nostalgic journey that pays homage to the classics of old. Equip your bolt gun and thrust into the fray headlong. Immerse yourself in a seamless fusion of Warhammer 40,000, classic FPS insanity, and the aesthetic allure of beloved 90s retro shooters. Assume the role of a battle-scarred space marine, embarking on a perilous galactic mission, engaging in relentless combat against chaos space marines and demonic entities. In a glorious homage to boomer shooter style gameplay, unleash your formidable space marine arsenal amid a cascade of sprites, pixels and splattering blood. Traverse expansive levels with dynamic agility, running, jumping and charging to obliterate heretics across the cosmos. Engage in visceral combat with gratifying gunplay, showcasing high mobility and copious bloodshed to reward your prowess. Command the battlefield with the mighty firepower and metallic might of a Space Marine's arsenal. Immerse yourself in the ultimate tribute to retro shooters, seamlessly blending stylish visuals with fluid, contemporary FPS gameplay. Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun is an intense, score-filled experience that will appeal to fans of the hyper-violent first-person shooter. Become the epitome of half-metal, half-human brutality in Turbo Overkill, drawing inspiration from gaming legends like Doom, Quake and Duke Nukem 3D. Immerse yourself in a cyberpunk dystopia, playing as Johnny Turbo, armed with hidden arm rockets and a leg-mounted chainsaw for ruthless slide slicing. In the Blade Runner meets Doom narrative, Johnny battles Sin, a rogue AI and augmented minions infesting the city of paradise. Turbo Overkill defies limits with turbo time, slow motion, wall running, dashing and grappling hooks. Navigate many different stages to uncover secrets and tackle combat puzzles with a variety of different weapons, from twin magnums, a boomer shotgun and a telefragger sniper rifle. You will need to earn cash through kills, enhancing your arsenal and abilities. Be a kung fu badass, carving a path through flying cars, utilising mini rockets and indulging in frantic, over-the-top gameplay. Turbo Overkill, where ferocity meets excess in a dystopian dreamscape. Immerse yourself in a crystal punk underworld in Hedon Bloodright, where you play the role of Zan, along with our orc sisters, to save your homeland from forces of chaos, where you will enter many unique puzzle-filled environments, rich in dark lore and atmosphere, where you will need to confront an onslaught of enemy threats. Taking inspiration from 90s FPS classics, you will immerse yourself in a unique tale of lore and secrets as you discover many lost civilizations to aid in those being caught up in the chaos that will unfold. The action is fast-paced with lots of exploration, running, gunning, jumping, using a wide array of weapons and spells to defeat your enemies. The game presents an intriguing visual style reflective of the golden era of first-person shooters. Ultra Kill catapults you into a frenzied, ultra-violent odyssey, seamlessly merging the essence of classic shooters like Quake and the contemporary flair of Doom seen in previous years that mixes the stylish combat of Devil May Cry. In a world where humanity is extinct, machines powered by dwindling blood reserves race to the infernal depths for survival, evade relentless assaults from undead demons and mechanical adversaries, utilising various movement abilities. Unleash devastation with a diverse arsenal where each weapon boasting multiple variations to immerse yourself in their blood to replenish health, sustaining the battle. Execute swift, stylish kills to accumulate combos, earning points for weapon upgrades. Conquer levels, achieving higher ranks, and undertaking unique optional challenges in diverse campaign landscapes inspired by games of old, concealing abundant secrets for intrepid explorers. Step into the immersive world of Sulaco, a groundbreaking original shooter powered by the original Doom game engine. Experience heart-pounding action sequences, dynamic destructibility, cunning AI, and an intricate narrative set against a captivating game world. Drawing inspiration from FIO, Sulaco seamlessly blends retro FPS elements from Quake and Doom with modern features, meticulously crafted by industry professionals. Delving into Sulaco's enigmatic past, where you will unravel a personal tale amidst a large-scale conflict. The meticulously designed campaign, underscored by a compelling sci-fi narrative, offers a rich and believable world, where you will engage in intense action set pieces where every bullet transforms the environment into a chaotic mosaic, which delivers a formidable challenge, with enemies exhibiting awareness, strategic collaboration and adaptive tactics. The soundtrack and professional voice acting also enhance the immersive atmosphere of the experience. Multiple game modes are also included to push your skills against relentless enemy onslaughts, which will offer campaign enhancing bonuses. Sulaco embraces open source modding support, empowering players to tailor their experience from creating new campaigns to modifying existing content. Immerse yourself in Sulaco's gripping narrative, where each moment resonates with character, action and mystery. ASCII is a visceral throwback to iconic classics like Quake, Hexen, Doom and Unreal, resurrecting the adrenaline-charged fervour of 90s gaming. Immerse yourself in a pixelated odyssey, reminiscent of bygone days, where fast-paced action reigns supreme. On the desolate planet, ASCII, teeming with lethal denizens, like cleaver-armed, parasite-infested creatures and grotesque monsters, you will traverse unique locations that are on the brink of death. Arm yourself with an extensive arsenal of weapons, from shotguns to explosive rocket launchers, that you will need to dispatch enemies at every turn. That also contributes to the game's overall industrial ambience and atmosphere as you explore a long forgotten world. This game will represent an opportunity to relish in an authentic retro experience, with carefully curated retro themes, faithfully replicating graphic constraints from the past, while intensifying the nostalgic journey in the modern era. Step into the heart-pounding realm of The Last Exterminator, a thrilling homage to 90s FPS classics like Doom, Duke Nukem 3D, Blood and Quake, where you will embark on a relentless journey as a lone protagonist as you fight for survival head-on against an extraterrestrial alien threat. While undertaking your daily routine job, your last possession, which is your van, is destroyed by an explosion during the chaotic events. So you succumb to the chaos. Driven by desperation, you navigate the war-torn streets, confronting the invaders head-on, where you will traverse various different environments with frenzied mayhem and concealed areas to explore. You will gain the opportunity to wield a formidable arsenal of weapons, from shotguns to dual Uzis and explosive weapons, to face a diverse army of varying enemy types. The Last Exterminator is a passionate tribute to 90s FPS games and their cinematic inspirations, blending intense action with a captivating storyline. Duke Nukem 3D's influence is palpable in every pixel of The Last Exterminator, with the environments and enemies that are brought to life that pay homage to the 90s iconic classic, that sees many quips, profanity and unique one-liners and sense of humour being brought to the forefront that will definitely appeal to the nostalgia of this ever popular classic. Fans of Duke Nukem's finest outing will absolutely love this.
Here, catch! Here, catch!
One of the defining features of the hyper-violent boomer shooter genre is its brutal aesthetics and gameplay. These games prioritise speed, firepower, and the cathartic release of violence. They often feature a wide variety of over-exaggerated weapons, from shotguns and rocket launchers to mythical and supernatural arms. Gory and explosive deaths of enemies are a common spectacle. Furthermore, the level design in boomer shooters often consists of intricate maze-filled levels with secrets, traps, and intricate puzzles. These games encourage exploration and reward players who delve into their intricacies. The unique level design elements complement the fast-paced gunplay and visceral, violent imagery that add to the appeal, reflecting the icons of older generations. The resurgence of these boomer shooters taps into a powerful sense of nostalgia. Many players like myself who grew up with Doom, Quake, Duke Nukem 3D and Unreal are now adults with disposable income. These games evoke cherished memories of youthful hours spent fragging enemies, solving puzzles and discovering secrets while spending time and money in the Red Light District.
Shake it, baby.
The familiarity of the genre allows players to slip back into the gameplay with ease, yet the modern interpretations bring enough innovation and improvements to keep the experience fresh and new. The combination of nostalgia and novelty has been a major driving force behind the genre's success and resurgence in recent times. A significant factor in the rise of the hyper-violent boomer shooter genre is the support of passionate indie developers and communities. Many of these games have been developed by small teams or even solo creators who are deeply committed to capturing the essence of iconic classics. These developers often maintain close relationships with their player base, listening to feedback and delivering updates and additional content. The modding community has also played a substantial role in creating custom maps, weapons and mods that expand and enhance the gameplay that still remains strong today. We only need to look back in the modding community of Doom to see that a game released decades ago can be just as popular and influential as ever in the development of new upcoming entries in the genre. So much in a way that the Steam Marketplace also hosts its own community sections for popular games, allowing fans to develop custom levels, features and mods, making it easier than ever for players to get involved and connect with like-minded individuals. Boomer shooters have achieved notable commercial success in recent times, defying the notion that only high-budget, graphically intense games can thrive in the market. These games have carved out their own niche, appealing to a dedicated fan base and garnering positive reviews from both players and critics. 2016's Doom reboot of the original series was a significant milestone and step in the genre's resurgence. It modernised the classic gameplay while retaining the brutal aesthetic, receiving widespread acclaim and commercial success. Doom Eternal continued this trend, introducing new gameplay mechanics and further solidifying the franchise's place in the contemporary gaming landscape. Many other titles that we have covered in this video, such as Ultra Kill and Wrath, Aeon of Ruin, and the many other games we have mentioned here, have received praise for their commitment to capturing the essence of classic shooters and pushing the genre forward with many unique twists and innovations that will continue to further set the stage based off an iconic blueprint that started way back all those years ago. The hyper-violent boomer shooter genre has had a substantial impact on the gaming industry, where it has shown that there is a market for games that focus on raw, unadulterated gameplay rather than cutting-edge graphics and complex narratives. This influence is visible in several ways, with modern shooters having embraced elements of the boomer shooter genre, infusing their gameplay with faster pacing and a focus on gunplay, made possible with the more modern renditions of the Doom series, which draw heavily from their predecessors while offering a next level experience. The success of these games has highlighted the importance of catering to niche audiences. While big studios often chase mass market appeal, small developers have found success in targeting specific groups of players who yearn for their experiences of their youth. Boomer shooters have underscored the idea that gameplay is paramount. While graphics and narrative are important, a game's success can hinge on the satisfaction of its mechanics and the thrill of the experience over anything else. The modding community surrounding these games has also flourished, demonstrating the lasting appeal of player-generated content and the potential for extending a game's lifespan through community engagement. The hyper-violent boomer shooter genre has experienced a remarkable resurgence, drawing inspiration from classic first-person shooters of earlier generations. By paying homage to these iconic titles, while incorporating modern innovations, these games have achieved commercial success and critical acclaim, and their influences can clearly be seen to present one of the most fast-paced, action-driven genres in the gaming industry. These titles offer an immersive and nostalgic experience that resonates with both the players who grew up with the classics and those seeking a refreshing change from the overly cinematic and narrative-focused games of today. With a strong emphasis on raw gameplay, brutal aesthetics, and community-driven development, the hyper-violent boomer shooter genre continues to captivate a passionate audience and leave a lasting impact on the world of gaming. It will be exciting to see what other insanities await players in this ever-popular gaming genre that is sure to leave an impact long after the experience. Which begs the question, what other games, series or genres are also seeing huge revivals in recent times? To learn more about these concepts, you will need to check out this next video that dives deeper into the many ideas behind the resurgence of many classic titles and how they have set the stage for new experiences to exist in modern times.